What you're about to hear was never meant to reach the public. It started as just another late-night team meeting. Quiet, routine, nothing unusual. But within hours, that room would turn into the epicenter of the biggest shockwave in football. History. Two of the league's brightest stars, Aaron Rodgers and Joe Burrow, found themselves in a place they were never supposed to be, holding evidence that could tear the sport apart from the inside out. Whispers began leaking through the tunnels, phones confiscated, reporters silenced, team officials in panic mode, because that night behind locked doors, something happened that no one, not even the league's most powerful executives, could bury forever. Fans noticed it first, the looks exchanged during interviews, the cryptic tweets, the sudden cancellations, and then came the audio, the clip that changed everything. They called it the night of truth. The night when two players risked everything, their careers, their contracts, their legacy, to expose the secret the NFL has fought for decades to keep hidden. This is that story. And once you hear what really went down that night, you'll never watch the game the same way again. It began on a cold Sunday night, hours after the stadium lights went out and the cheering crowds disappeared into silence. The air outside was freezing, but inside the facility, something much colder was happening. The locker room, usually filled with laughter, music, and the sound of victory, felt like a vault. Every echo carried tension. Every breath sounded dangerous. Aaron Rodgers sat alone on the bench, his phone screen glowing in the dim light. The text message he had just received was short, but it was enough to send a chill down his spine. It read, "They know. Don't say a word until we talk in person." The message was from Joe Burrow, just hours earlier. Both men had played their hearts out on opposite sides of the field. A thrilling game that ended in Burrow's team pulling a narrow victory. Cameras caught the handshake at midfield, the smiles, the mutual respect. What the cameras didn't catch was the note Burrow slipped into Rodgers' glove. When Rodgers opened that note later that night, everything changed. He read it twice, 3 times. His heart began to race. It wasn't trash talk, it wasn't gossip, it was a warning. Inside were references to internal league communications, emails, arrangements that suggested certain games, including theirs, might have been influenced from the top. Not by players, not by coaches, but by people far above them. Rodgers knew the risks. He'd been around the league long enough to know that questioning the system was career suicide. But Burrow wasn't backing down. He wanted a meeting, somewhere private, somewhere no one would expect. And so that's how they ended up here, deep in the team's training complex. After hours surrounded by lockers, silence, and shadows. When Burrow finally walked in, the tension snapped like static. No greetings, no smiles. Just a low voice. "You saw it?" Rodgers nodded. "Yeah, tell me it's fake." Burrow looked down, then slid a small USB drive across the bench. "I wish I could." The silence was deafening. Rodgers plugged the drive into his tablet. What appeared on screen looked like a string of encrypted messages between league officials. Mentions of viewership control, storyline optimization, and market value adjustments. It didn't make sense at first until the realization hit him. The games weren't just being managed. They were being scripted. Rodgers leaned back, disbelief washing over him. "This can't be real," Burrow's voice cracked. "It is. And if we don't say something, we're part of it." That's when the door creaked. A shadow moved in the hallway. Both men froze. Rodgers killed the tablet screen instantly. For a few seconds, they could hear muffled footsteps, slow, deliberate. Getting closer, then silence again. Rodgers whispered, "You followed." Burrow shook his head. "No one saw me, but someone had." Within minutes, their phones buzzed again. Same unknown number. This time, a voice memo. Just 2 words, distorted and chilling. "Leave. Now." The lights flickered. Somewhere in the corridor, a metal door slammed. The 2 players exchanged a look, fear mixed with defiance. Burrow grabbed the USB, slipped it into his jacket, and whispered, "We go public tomorrow." Rodgers hesitated. "You know what that means?" "Yeah," Burrow said. "It means they'll come for us." Outside, a storm was building, literally and figuratively. Wind howled through the stadium tunnels as they slipped out through the back entrance. No cameras. No press. Just to men who had accidentally stepped into something far bigger than themselves. By morning, strange things began happening. Reporters who had been preparing post-game interviews suddenly got calls to hold stories. A journalist from a major network tweeted and deleted a cryptic post. Something huge coming out of last night's game. "If I disappear, you know why?" Then the league's official account posted an oddly timed message. "We remind all athletes that confidentiality clauses are binding." Fans started asking questions. Why was Rodgers missing from his weekly podcast? Why did Burrow cancel his press conference with personal reasons? Reddit threads exploded. Someone even leaked a blurry photo of the two men meeting in a dark hallway. Hours after the game, it didn't take long before the internet turned the mystery into a storm. Hashtag locker room leak, hashtag NFL secret hashtag. They know every corner of social media was on fire. Theories spread faster than truth ever could. And then someone released the audio. It was only 30 seconds long. The sound of lockers clanging, voices raised. Rodgers saying, "If this is true, the league is done." And Burrow replying, "Then let it burn." The clip went viral in minutes, millions of views before it vanished from every major platform. Deleted, flagged, erased. But by then, it was too late. The public had heard just enough to know something was wrong. Behind closed doors, league executives scrambled. PR teams drafted statements. Lawyers worked overnight. And somewhere in a dim hotel room, Rodgers and Burrow sat across from each other again, tired, paranoid, and unsure who to trust. Rodgers stared out the window at the empty city streets. "They'll spin it, you know? They always do." Burrow leaned forward. "Then we get ahead of it. Tomorrow, we tell everyone everything." But before he could finish his sentence, Rodgers' phone vibrated. An anonymous message appeared on the screen. "Don't press send." Then the phone powered off by itself. Both men froze. Neither said a word. The power flickered. Someone, somewhere, was already watching, and that was just the beginning. By sunrise, chaos had already begun. Every sports network, every podcast, every blog, they were all asking this same question. What did Rodgers and Burrow uncover? But the league was quicker. Overnight, they moved like a machine. PR statements, hush orders, quiet threats. A memo was sent to every franchise. Do not discuss the locker room incident. Disciplinary actions will follow for any breach. Burrow woke up to a dozen missed calls. His agent? His coach? A number he didn't recognize. He didn't answer any of them. Instead, he turned on the TV. Every channel was showing the same replay, not of the game, but of the handshake. The slow motion clip, the exchange, the look. Commentators froze the frame like it was a crime scene. This moment, one host said, might change football forever. Meanwhile, Rodgers wasn't home. He had gone off-grid. No phone, no laptop. Just a burner device and a contact he trusted only halfway. A former team executive turned whistleblower. Known online as the analyst. In a dim parking garage, Rodgers met him. The man was nervous, constantly looking around. He handed over an envelope. Inside, printed transcripts. Actual conversations between league insiders about narrative alignment and competitive balancing. The analyst whispered, "You're not supposed to see this. No player ever was." Rodgers' hands trembled. He knew this wasn't just about one game. This was about the entire structure. Meanwhile, Burrow tried to reach him, but every message came back undeliverable. Then, around noon, a new video surfaced on a fan account. It was grainy, probably filmed secretly. It showed Rodgers and Burrow entering that same locker room the night before, time-stamped. Tagged and titled, "The Night the NFL Tried to Erase." It exploded online to 3 million views in an hour. Fans screamed for answers. Memes, edits, conspiracy threads flooded Twitter. Some called them heroes. Others called them traitors. But deep inside the league's headquarters, the executives called an emergency meeting. "Get them quiet," said one voice. Before they talk, that afternoon, the league announced an investigation into unauthorized recording and data theft. It sounded official. It also sounded like a warning. Burrow's coach called him. "They're saying you leaked private material. You could be suspended." Burrow's voice was steady. "Then suspend me, but I'm not lying." That quote hit the press within minutes. #StandWithBurrow started trending. Thousands of fans filled comment sections demanding transparency. Reporters gathered outside team facilities. The NFL's PR wall was cracking, and Rodgers knew it was only a matter of time before the truth spilled over. He called Burrow from a payphone. "They're framing this. We need to control the story." Burrow: "How?" Rodgers: "We go live." That night at 8 p.m. sharp, both men joined a private live stream, unannounced, unfiltered. Within minutes, over 500,000 viewers flooded in. Rodgers looked exhausted. Burrow's eyes were red from sleepless nights. Rodgers began, voice shaking slightly. "We didn't plan this. We didn't want this. But you deserve to know how deep it goes. But you deserve to know how deep it goes." Then Burrow held up the USB drive. "This is what they didn't want you to see." The chat went wild. Thousands of messages flying by. Viewers recorded everything. Clips spread instantly, but halfway through the stream, the video froze. The connection died. Their accounts vanished, deleted, gone. People thought it was a glitch. Until a post appeared on the league's official page. "Unauthorized and false content has been removed. Viewer safety and league integrity remain our top priority." That's when it became clear this wasn't a glitch. It was a blackout. Panic spread online. Fans posted screenshots, timestamps, fragments of the deleted footage. In one still frame, Rodgers could be seen holding a document titled "Game Structure Policy Confidential." Another showed Burrow saying, "They call it outcome management." Within hours, sports journalists were receiving emails warning them not to cover the fabricated leaks. One independent outlet tried their website went offline. Rodgers and Burrow disappeared. No media, no statements. For 48 hours, nothing. Until a new clip surfaced, not from them, but from a security camera in a stadium parking lot. It showed Rodgers' car surrounded by black SUVs. He steps out, hands raised. The video cuts abruptly. That single moment broke the internet. Some said he was arrested. Others claimed he was taken for questioning. The league said nothing. Burrow, now alone, checked into a remote cabin outside Cincinnati. He sent one final encrypted message to a friend in the media. "If I don't make it back, drop the files." But by morning, that friend's account was gone too. And then, something unexpected happened. A retired player, a Hall of Famer, went live on his podcast. His tone was grave. "I played this game for 20 years. I saw things I never understood, but now it makes sense." The floodgates opened. More voices joined in. Former coaches, analysts, staff. People started connecting dots from years of suspicious games, strange calls, unexplained trades. By midnight, every news outlet was forced to cover it. NFL in crisis. Players rebel against the league. Truth or conspiracy? Meanwhile, in a quiet corner of the internet, a mysterious account named Night Tub Truth uploaded a 7-minute clip. The title: "Final warning, the system is not what you think." It had no voice, no faces, just text and background noise. But in those few minutes, it showed enough to confirm everyone's worst fears. And just before the video ended, a final message appeared. They can silence players. They can erase footage. But they can't stop what's already begun. Then blackout. The account deleted itself by dawn. The world of football would never be the same again. Silence. That's how it began, a heavy, unnatural silence that hung over the sports world like a storm cloud refusing to break. For 3 whole days, there were no games, no interviews, no press conferences. Just one burning question whispered across every bar, every locker room. Every news studio, where are Aaron Rodgers and Joe Burrow? Then, on the 4th night, something broke that silence. A video, grainy, dark, and eerie, appeared on a hidden online forum. It showed a single light bulb swinging over a concrete floor. A distorted voice spoke. They wanted the truth buried. But it's already out. The league is not just entertainment. It's control. The screen flickered, and then Rodgers' face appeared. His eyes looked tired, bruised, but alive. He stared directly into the camera and said, "They can take away the games, the contracts, even our names. But they can't erase what we've seen." Burrow stepped into the frame beside him. "We're done being silent," he said firmly. "This isn't football anymore. It's manipulation." Within minutes, the video was everywhere. Social media exploded. Hashtags like #NFLTruth and #RodgersLeak trended globally. Major networks tried to delete the footage, but it was too late. Fans copied, saved, and re-uploaded it faster than the system could react. The truth had escaped. Inside NFL headquarters, panic spread like wildfire. Phones rang nonstop. Lawyers shouted across conference rooms. Public relations officers scrambled to build a narrative, any narrative. But there was no controlling it now. One executive slammed his hand against the table and shouted, "If they speak again, we lose everything." But the truth was already spreading. Anonymous sources began leaking documents, private emails, referee logs, financial statements. Whistleblowers emerged from within the league. A data analyst confessed to an independent journalist that certain outcomes were discussed in advance. It wasn't fixing, it was storytelling. They called it narrative engagement. Fans were stunned. Decades of loyalty began to crack. Old game footage resurfaced, and people started noticing patterns. The same dramatic calls, the same last-second miracles, the same coincidences. What once felt like magic now looked like a script. Rodgers and Burrow vanished again, moving quietly between states. They weren't hiding, they were building something. Gathering evidence. Gathering allies. Retired legends, rookies, and coaches joined them in secret. A movement was forming, not for fame, not for revenge, but for truth. Their goal was simple: take football back. A week later, the impossible happened. Rodgers and Burrow went live from an undisclosed location, a black background. No sponsors. No league logos except one crossed out in red tape. Rodgers looked calm but deadly serious. "We've collected everything," he said. Emails, recordings, contracts, proof that the NFL manipulated not just the games, but the fans, the players, even the bets. Burrow slid a small flash drive across the table. "This goes public tonight," he said. And it did. Thousands of mirrored files spread across the internet. Every secret, every lie exposed. The effect was instant and devastating. Sponsors pulled out. TV networks went silent. Stadiums went dark. Players began walking out mid-season, refusing to take the field. Crowds gathered outside team headquarters chanting, "We want truth. We want real football." Inside the league offices, chaos turned to collapse. Executives blamed each other. Leaked phone calls revealed panic. "We thought we controlled the story." We did, until the players started writing it themselves. Congress launched an official investigation. The U.S. government demanded answers about corporate manipulation in professional sports. But even as hearings began, the NFL fought back with lawyers and counterclaims, trying to paint Rodgers and Burrow as rogue actors. But the public didn't buy it anymore. The myth had cracked. The empire was bleeding. Months passed, and amid the ashes of what used to be the NFL, Rodgers and Burrow appeared one last time, not on television, not on social media, but on a dusty open field in Texas. There were no lights, no sponsors, no crowd, just 2 men and a ball. Rodgers called out, "Ready?" Burrow smiled. "Always." Rodgers threw. Burrow caught. The sound of the ball echoed in the empty field, raw, pure, real. One by one, other players arrived. Teammates, rivals, old legends. No brands, no microphones. Just football. A fan watching nearby started streaming the scene on his phone. Within minutes, millions were watching live. No commentary, no editing, just the sound of the game, the kind of sound people had forgotten existed that night. One headline went viral. The NFL fell, but football was reborn. Later, Rodgers posted a single message on social media. They tried to own the game, but the game belongs to the people. Burrow replied with one word: forever. As the sun set over that Texas field, the world felt something it hadn't in a long time: hope. And as the live stream faded to black, one final message appeared on screen. This story isn't over. It's just beginning. Whispers soon spread online about a new league forming, one owned by players, not corporations. Transparent? Honest. Its rumored name, True Grid Iron. No billionaires. No manipulation. Just the game reborn by those who dared to speak the truth. And somewhere, in a quiet skyscraper office overlooking New York, an unnamed man watched the live stream and said quietly, almost to himself, they think it's over, but they have no idea what's coming next. Screen fades to black dot. Now, you know the story they tried to bury. The story of two players who risked everything, their contracts, their fame, their safety, just to tell the truth. Rodgers and Burrow didn't do this for money. They didn't do it for headlines. They did it because somewhere along the way, the game stopped being about the game. It became about power, profit, and control. But now, that illusion has shattered. The world has seen behind the curtain. And once you see the truth, you can't unsee it. The question is, what will you do with it? If you believe the fans deserve honesty, if you believe that football belongs to the people, not the corporations, then don't just sit there. Be part of the movement. Hit that like button to amplify their message. Drop a comment and let the world know where you stand. Do you still trust the league? Or do you stand with Rodgers and Burrow, the players who refuse to stay silent? And most importantly, subscribe right now. Because this is just the beginning. There are still files hidden, more names to be revealed, more secrets waiting to be uncovered. You won't hear this on mainstream sports shows. You won't see it on official broadcasts. But here we dig deeper. We expose what they hide. And we tell the stories they're afraid to show you. So turn on your notifications. Share this video with everyone who still believes the truth matters. Because the future of football, maybe even the future of every sport, starts right here. The old order has fallen. The new era has begun. This isn't just a story. This is a revolution. Asterisk. Story. This is a revolution. Asterisk.